Welcome back to Huawei Routing and Switching Elite Training for HCIE. Today topic we are going to discuss on IPv6. Let's start our part 11.
Now for this exercise, we are going to look into configuring manual tunnel. Alright, so here we have company A with a similar topology R1, R2 and R3. So you can see that on this network, this is the IPv4. Okay, so all the router 1, 2, 3 already been pre-configured with the OSPF v2. So which this case here is IPv4 area 0. Okay, so which the configuration already been completed. So this is the easy one. So think about that. All this is the service provider network. Then over here on the left and the right, we have our loopback 2001:1:1 and 2001:3:3, which means that on the left and the right we are using pure IPv6. So R1 and R3 is a dual stack. Okay, which is running on both IPv4 on serial 100 and the loopback is using IPv6. Now the most critical part is this requirement. Configure IPv6 over IPv4 manual tunnel to enable loopback 1 interface of R1 and R3 to communicate. So I need to configure, make sure that loopback 1 on both sides here can communicate over the IPv4. So we need to create a tunnel. Okay, so the packet will be going into the tunnel. So we have the IPv6 over IPv4. Right, so for us to do that, we have to configure the tunnel interface. Okay, the tunnel interface. And this tunnel interface, the protocol that we are going to use will be the manual tunnel. Alright, so without further delay, let's look into our ENSP. Alright, so let's jump back into ENSP. So I have 3 routers here with 3 loopback. So you can see that the loopback is IPv4 and the interface on the external is also IPv4. This is 12.110 and 23.110. Now only on the most left and the most right I have the IPv6 enabled, and also configure the IP address on the loopback in the IPv6, and we are going to look into the configuration of a tunnel, and the OSPF already been pre-configured. So let me show you the OSPF here. Right, so this is the OSPF on the router 1, and I can also show you in router 2, and finally we have it on router 3 as well. Alright, so nothing really difficult here. We just have to put everything under the area 0. So router 1 should be able to ping to router 3 without any problem. Okay, that is only on pure IPv4, but we want to configure so that IPv6 on the most left can able to ping to the IPv6 on the most right, which is the loopback 1. And if we look into my interface on the IPv6, I have 2001 1:164. Same go for the router 3. So router 2 is purely IPv4 router. So router 1 is having IPv6 as well as the IPv4. Okay, so let's start the configuration. Now the first thing we are going to do over here is we are going to make sure that the interface tunnel is up, and we have to specify that where is my tunnel source and where's the tunnel destination. So my tunnel source will be my loopback, my tunnel destination will be 3.3.3. So let's create the interface tunnel. Okay, then this tunnel have to configure the IPv6, and the IPv6 address as given is 2001:13:1 connect to 2001:13:3. So we are just configuring based on the requirement 13:164. Okay, Then we are going to configure the tunnel protocol. Now, as you can see from here, we have different type protocol. So we are going to use the IPv6 over IPv4. Okay, so we are going to use IPv6 over IPv4. That's the protocol that we are using. The source of the tunnel will be loopback 0, and the destination will be 3.3. Okay, so you can see that the interface is up. So when I do a display IPv6 interface brief, there is my tunnel. Alright, so when I go into the display current, alright, so this is the current configuration on my tunnel interface. Pretty easy, right? So I'm going to repeat this process, but the mirror on R3. So remember that my R3 should be able to ping to 111, alright, or else the tunnel would not be up. Okay, interface tunnel. Then I have to enable my IPv6 and my IPv6 address. So my IPv6 address is this one, 2001:13:3 prefix 64. I'm going to use the tunnel protocol IPv6 to IPv4. My source is loopback and my destination is 111. That's it, my tunnel is also up. Now let's just do an IPv6 ping to my tunnel. Alright, so you can see that my tunnel is basically up. But how are you going to put the traffic into the tunnel? Alright, so we are going to use a very traditional way. We use a static route. So we are going to configure IPv6 route static. If I want to go to 2001:1:64, I'm going to go into the interface tunnel 000. Okay, so when I do a display IPv6 route, so you can see that over here I have my 2001. Alright, so you can see that there's a tunnel here. Alright, okay, and I'm going to do it on the R1 as well. IPv6 route static 2001:3:64. I need to go to tunnel 0. Alright, so let's do a testing. Now before I do a testing over here, I would like to run a Wireshark, because as we know that this one is actually IPv6 over IPv4. This is most of the provider. This technique is used by most of the provider to do the tunnel broking. Alright, so I'm going to do a ping 2001:3:3. Okay, from R1 to R3. Sorry, I should ping IPv6. Okay, right, you can see that the ping passed through, and this is over the IPv4. Let me show you the Wireshark. There you have it. Okay, so this is my Wireshark ICMP v6. Now if you look into the IP here, this is my IPv4 header. You can see that 111:3:3:3. Then followed by my IPv6 header and the IPv6 PDU, which is the data. The data consists of ICMP v6. Now if we go into the IPv4, you notice that this is a protocol 41. Okay, so that's the header. This header encapsulates our IPv6. As you can see that the source is 13.1 and the destination is 2001:3:3. And inside here, this is my ICMP. So this is where you can see that the IPv6 actually transverse over the IPv4. Okay, and this is a manual configuration. All right, so this is quite a simple configuration. What you need to know here is to make sure that the IPv4 able to reach end-to-end, configure the interface, specify the interface protocol, and don't forget to use the route. Now in this exercise I'm using a static route. You can actually use other route as well, dynamic route. Okay. Now there is a different variety of a tunnel that we can configure. Another variation of the tunnel, instead of using IPv6 to IPv4, which is using the protocol 41, we have another option is to use the GRE. Okay, because this is pure IP. Here, over here, we can actually encapsulate different type of protocol, including the OSI. Okay, so let's look into this requirement. Company A again, having the same topology. So I'm going to use back the same lab as per just now. So all the configuration is just as per earlier exercise, area 0. R1, R2, and R3 is in the area 0, IPv4. IPv6 also the same, 2001:1 and 2001:3. But this time, our tunnel will be in GRE instead of IPv6 to IPv4. Okay, so again, we are going to configure a tunnel. Now this tunnel, we are going to use GRE tunnel. All right, and IPv6 will be tunneled through here and going out through here. Right, so let's look into the configuration on the GRE tunnel. Right, so we are back to our earlier lab. Okay, as you can see from here, I'm using a tunnel interface, and in this tunnel interface, as you can see that I'm using IPv6 to IPv4. So assuming that I'm going to do a tunnel protocol, this time I'm going to use a GRE. Okay, now you notice that it's actually go down straight away. Okay, and I have a GRE, and the source and destination also remove. Okay, but you can see that the IP address on V6 is still available. So my source over here is my loopback 0, and my destination over here is 3333. Okay, now it's going up again. Right, so what I need to do is go into R3, and inside my tunnel interface, because the question only want me to change the tunnel type. So from the tunnel of IPv6, I'm going to change to GRE. So I just do a tunnel protocol, GRE. Then I just copy and paste on this loopback and the source. Okay, pretty easy. Okay, you can see that the tunnel is up now. So let's confirm that our tunnel is working. Display IPv6 interface tunnel 000. Right, so this is my interface. My tunnel is up. Okay, so no issue on that. My static route is still available. Display IPv6 routing table. Okay, you can see that my tunnel is still available and my Wireshark is still running. Okay, let me try to ping to 2001:1:1. Sorry, again, I need to ping IPv6. It's a bad habit to keep on forgetting about the IPv6. Alright, so if I go back into my Wireshark, you can see that this part here, this is my IPv4. You can see that there's a GRE. Okay, generic encapsulating routing encapsulation. Okay, and I have my IPv6 header followed by my IPv6 PDU. So you notice over here the difference between these both. Okay, let me actually do a ICMP 6. Okay, let's see here. Now this part here, all right, because for the first part here on the top, I'm using protocol 41. Okay, for the next one here, I'm using GRE. You can see that this protocol is GRE, protocol 47, where we have a GRE. Now there's the difference between the IP v6 to IPv4. You can see over here, this is IPv6 to IPv4. So we have IPv4, IPv6, and the IPv6 PDU. Whereas on the GRE, you can see that we have IPv4, then we have a GRE, then followed by the IPv6. So they do have additional overhead over here. Okay, so that's conclude our GRE tunnel. Alright, so we almost come to the end here on the IPv6 topic. So at the beginning, I actually mentioned about the principle of IPv6, the addressing scheme, and what's the need for us to have IPv6. I'll just show you some of the configuration command. Alright, so please refer back to your documentation on the IPv6. And since the predominant now is still IPv4, but I'm very sure that in future IPv6 will be very dominant. So you also need to know about the troubleshooting once you start in the IPv6. I look into the case analysis just now, which is we configuring the IPv6 address. We look into RIP-NG, OSPF v3, ISIS, BGP plus, and configuration of the tunnel. Now let's look into the exam preparation on how you can prepare for your HCIE. Now for the HCIE, IPv6 is actually important. Okay, so you need to understand the IPv6 command. You need to familiar with the principle and the application. So please refer back into your documentation, okay, and read more on the RFC standard on IPv6 because IPv6 is still evolving. So you need to know what are the policy tools that you can available. Now many of the tools that's available for IPv4 is also available for IPv6. Now headex documentation is definitely important, okay, and look into what are the commands for you to do troubleshooting with all the display command, and understand the case, especially when you want to work with IPv4 and IPv6. Okay, so we come to the end of this IPv6. Okay, thank you very much and see you on the next session.
Thanks for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe to our channel.